In this video, we'll be solving each and every question from the TISS 2017 paper. So before we go to the questions, just a quick background about learning routes. So there are three of us who run learning routes, and these are credentials. And in terms of test preparation courses, we do have a test mocks package. I think almost all the mocks are live and uploaded right now. So if you wish, you can access these 10 mocks by going to online.learningroutes.in. I will include the link in the description of the video as well, so do check it out. So we'll start with the GK section, then go to the quant, and then finally we'll end up with the English section. So let's start with the first question. The ozone layer is found in, the answer for this is the stratosphere, right? So if you remember your school geography, so if this is the crust, then you have the upper layer above the crust will be the troposphere. Then you have the stratosphere. Then you have the mesosphere. Then you have the thermosphere, and then finally the exosphere, right? So the exosphere is the last layer of the atmosphere, whereas the troposphere is the first layer. In terms of the ozone layer is present in the stratosphere. So that's why 3 is the answer in this case, right? Let's move on. The second question, the Sachar committee was formed in 2005 to report on the social, economic, and educational conditions of, again, this is something that you need to know. So Muslims is the answer. Again, committees are something that you need to know. So this committee did what, right? So do a quick search on committees on Google. Probably you should get a list of the top 10 most important committees. And then as long as you know that, I think you should scrape through this part. Third question, over the year in the GDP of India, which sector's contribution increased significantly? And over the year, the answer is the service sector, right? So in terms of contribution of GDP right now, I think more than 50% is contributed by the service sector, around 30% by the manufacturing industry, and around 16 or 17 odd percent by the agricultural sector. So that's the breakup of these three most important sectors to the GDP of India. Coming to the fourth question, who was the first Prime Minister of Bangladesh? The answer is Tajuddin Ahmed. Again, a list of the other names are also ex-prime ministers and presidents. So again, you need to be careful of not confusing the prime minister with the president, right? So Mujibur Rahman, for example, was the first president of Bangladesh. So just be a little careful of that as well. Coming to the fifth one, which is a regenerative organ in the human body, the answer is the liver. Again, something that you need to know. The liver is probably the only organ which can regenerate on its own, right? The sixth one, the dance form Kathakali is from the state of, again, very simple. It's not even an obscure dance form that has been asked. It's a very prominent one. So you should know that the dance form is from the state of Kerala. So ensure that you know at least the top 15 to 20 odd dance forms in the state that they originate from. That's pretty important for TISS. Coming to the seventh question, Deepa Karmakar is an Indian sportswoman associated with the sport of gymnastics. Again, I'm sure everyone knows this. Okay, fairly simple question and was in the news quite a bit last year. Voices again 377. Again, if you don't know this per se, the 377 will give you a hint. So the 377 talks about section 377, which criminalizes homosexuality, right? So if you had a bit of an idea about this, then this should have been a sitter. Again, keep a note of the important sections. Okay, I think the IT Act was something that was asked a couple of years back. So at least the important sections or articles or things that are in the news, you should know. Right? Let's come to the ninth question. The Rowlatt Act, also known as the Black Bill, was passed in the year. Yeah, it was passed in the year 1919. Right? So in fact, just going on an extension, the Jallianwala Bagh massacre also happened in 1919, and the rally at that place was held to protest against the Rowlatt Act. Right? So 1919 is the year on which this bill was passed. Australian antigen is related to. So the antigen is used to detect hepatitis B. Okay, again, something if you knew it, great. Okay, again, if you didn't know it, I think that's very straightforward from the options. So even by using the options, you could have eliminated and then could have figured out that it's talking about maybe a disease. So in this case, the only thing that fits here is 3. Coming to the 11th question, the case of Nitish Katara murder was adjudged by the trial court as a type of, again, something that was in the news last year. So if you were following the news, then you would know that this is an example of honor killing, right? So a little bit of reading of the newspaper, even a cursory reading would have helped you in this. So 4 is the answer for this. Vishaka judgment is a set of guidelines to deal with the cases of, again, very, very commonly asked question in GK exams or in the GK sections rather. So this is to deal with the cases of sexual harassment. Okay? Pertains to companies both public and private. Minimum Wages Act was first enacted in the year of, again, something that you need to know or ideally you should know. But this is more of a know it or you don't kind of a question. It's almost impossible to guess from the options. So 1948 is the answer in this case. Right, moving on. The Atal Pension Yojana is floated especially for, okay, look at the options: Northeast people, tribal people, elderly people from unorganized sectors, government employees, industrial sector. Again, even from the options, the most logical guess ideally should have been 3, which is actually the answer for this. Right? So the elderly people from unorganized sectors are the ones who are targeted for the Atal Pension Yojana. Again, obscure answer options like this may always not be the answer. So try and guess logically in these kind of questions. Which of the following is not under UNO, under the United Nations Organization? So the first one is OPEC, which is oil and petroleum exporting countries. So oil and petroleum exporting countries. So this, of course, is not under the United Nations, right? So this is the answer. Okay, let me quickly go through the remaining ones as well. WHO is the World Health Organization, which comes under the United Nations. UNESCO is United Nations Education, Scientific and Cultural Organization. So again, that falls under the United Nations as such. And ILO is the International Labour Organization. Okay, what rulings do major nations abide by to reduce concentration of greenhouse gases? In this case, again, even if you are not sure of the exact nature of the protocols, you should at least have heard the name of the Kyoto Protocol, so which took place, or the protocol was ratified in the year 1997. So very important with relation in relation to climate change. So Kyoto Protocol is the one, is the ruling by which major nations abide to reduce concentration of greenhouse gases. Right? What's the share of agriculture in the India's GDP in 2015-16? In this case, the answer will be, as I mentioned earlier, the answer is 15%. Okay, approximately somewhere around 17% is the approximate figure, 16% rather. So 15.35% approximately will be the answer in 2015-16. Right. So as I mentioned, manufacturing is around 30%. Services is around somewhere around 53, 54, 55%, around that range. Okay, Irom Sharmila, which state does she belong to? So Irom Sharmila is also known as the Iron Lady. Okay, she is an activist. She belongs to the state of Manipur. Fine. Coming to the next one, which terror organization is based in North Nigeria? So the answer for this is again Boko Haram. Right? Again, you need to sort of logically work your way through these questions. So ISIS, if you had read at least a few articles, you would know that it is based more in the countries of Iraq, Syria, and so on. Okay, and a few more countries as well, but mainly in these two countries. Al-Badr is actually in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, Haqqani network is in Afghanistan. So Boko Haram is the organization that is based in Nigeria. Okay, who among the following was known as Frontier Gandhi? Again, Frontier Gandhi, this is very, very common if you remember your history textbooks. So this is Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan. So 2 is the answer for this. Okay, coming to the next one, the Indus Water Treaty was signed between Jawaharlal Nehru and the President of Pakistan. Again, this was something that was in the news around, I think, this was in the news last year. So if you had read the articles, then probably you could have got the answer. Or even if you knew that the Indus Water Treaty was signed in the year 1960, you could have made a logical guess as to who would have been the President of Pakistan. So the answer in this case is Ayub Khan. Right? So the Indus Water Treaty was signed between Jawaharlal Nehru and Ayub Khan. Question number 22. Provision for women's empowerment in the nation in the National Food Security Act of 2013 is to issue ration cards in the name of adult women in eligible households. Again, something that you can read about. Okay, so probably makes sense to go through the act just in case something of the sort again turns up this year. So go through the at least the main provisions of the act or the main pointers relating to the act, so that in any question which pertains to this, you will be able to answer it. Coming to the next one, again something that you either know it or you don't. The book Poverty and Unbritish Rule in India was written by. The answer is Dadabhai Naoroji. Okay, so either you know it or you don't. Very difficult to eliminate options here. Okay, coming to 24, dash is a permit which allows a country to produce a certain amount of carbon emission. Okay, again, something that you should know. The answer is carbon credit. Right, carbon credits very commonly talked about. So carbon credit is the answer in this case. Okay, can't be the others. Can't of course be carbon dating, which is something that we use to determine the age, right, or something of either a tree or something else. Which of the following is an instance of indirect taxation in India? Okay, so basically, let's talk about what indirect taxation first of all means. So taxes are of two types. One is direct, and the other one is indirect. So some of the examples of direct taxes are income taxes, corporate taxes, and so on. So what is a direct tax? It basically means that the person who is paying the tax and the person who is supposed to pay the tax are the same. Right? For example, take the instance of income tax. So income tax is levied on a person who is earning an income. So take a salaried person, for example. So if you are drawing a salary from your company, you will notice the income tax getting deducted from the salary that you earn. And then after the tax is deducted, you get the in-hand salary, right? So the tax that is deducted is meant to be deducted from you. So that's why it is called as a direct tax. In the case of an indirect tax, it doesn't work that way. So let's take the example of, let's say, a hotel or a restaurant. Now you go to a restaurant and you order something and you get a bill at the end, and there will be some service tax mentioned in that bill. So right now it will of course be the GST. So if the service tax is mentioned, ideally the tax is meant to be paid by the restaurant, or the restaurant actually pays the tax, but then it actually collects the tax from you, who is the customer. Right? So the tax gets passed on to someone else who purchases or who uses the service. So similar is the case with other taxes as well. Anyway, all of them have now almost come under goods and services tax. So basically, indirect taxes are those taxes in which the person who's meant to pay and the person who actually pays are different, right? So as in the case of the restaurant example that I mentioned, whereas in the case of a direct tax, the person who's supposed to pay and the person who pays will both be the same. So income tax and corporate taxes are examples of direct taxes. GST is an example of an indirect tax, right? Okay, coming to 26, holders of forest rights under the Recognition of Forest Rights Act are empowered to, again, looking at the options, logically, the only answer option that fits in this case is 3, right? So lease land to mining companies. Why will the Forest Rights Act tell a person to lease land to mining companies? Okay, doesn't make any sense. Provide contract for felling timber. Again, contract may be there, but again, Forest Rights Act, the better answer option is clearly 3. Right? So 3 should be the answer. So you can logically work your way out through these kind of questions. 1857 First War of Independence is also called as, again, very simple answer options. It's clearly the Indian Mutiny. Right? The Salt Satyagraha was basically the Dandi March, which happened somewhere around 1930, I think. Quit India movement was in 1942. Civil disobedience was also on the same lines. So I think this was also 1930. And Indian Mutiny was, of course, the 1857 war. Coming to 28, international treaty, namely NPT is related to. So NPT is, again, Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. Okay, Non-Proliferation Treaty. Made a spelling mistake there. Proliferation. Okay, Non-Proliferation Treaty. So Non-Proliferation Treaty, and this is related to nuclear weapons. So if a country is not supposed to test nuclear weapons anymore, they will be a signatory to the NPT, right? Coming to the next one, which greenhouse gas is a result of rapid industrial expansion? So it's a bit of a doubt with regard to this question. So the credit answer that is given is chlorofluorocarbons, but logically even answer option 3 works, right? So in fact, either of these two answer options should ideally be correct. Okay, anyway, but the correct answer is 2. So in case you get such a question, then simply mark one of these and then move ahead. Coming to 30, Operation Flood launched in 1970 was related to, okay, Operation Flood. Again, even a little bit of knowledge would tell you that this is related to dairy development. Okay, so under the aegis of Verghese Kurian, Operation Flood was conducted and launched for dairy development in India. Fine. Coming to the tribe in which the practice of matrilineal is followed. So matrilineal is different from patrilineal. So the system that we use is patrilineal, where the ancestry or the ancestral descent is traced through paternal lines, whereas in matrilineal, this is through maternal lines, right? So the Kasi tribe is one of those tribes which is unique in the sense that they follow the practice of matrilineal, right? The remaining tribes don't. Let me just quickly go tell you which states they belong to. So the Kasi tribe is mainly located in Assam and Meghalaya. The Garasya tribe, I think a lot of people will know this. Okay, Rajasthan and Gujarat. What about the Meena tribe? Again, same. Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, mainly in central India. And the Bhil, the tribe is located mostly in the western part of India. So again, you have Rajasthan coming, Gujarat. Okay, so a lot of these states in the western part of India, the bills belong to all these states, right? So these are the 4 tribes, and Kasi is the answer for this particular question. The objective of the Board of Industrial and Financial Reconstruction is to address issues of, so this is commonly referred to as BIFR. So BIFR is mainly for, again, Board of Industrial and Financial Reconstruction. The word itself should tell you what the board is trying to do. They're trying to revive sick industrial units, right? So another act that you may want to know along with this is something called as the SICA. Okay, so it's actually the A stands for Act anyway. So SICA is basically something that is used in conjunction with BIFR. So do look it up. Okay, scheme ESI is related to, ESI is the employee state insurance. So insurance, so of course has to deal with social security and health insurance. Fine. Okay, coming to official entry of it from India to the Oscars. Again, remember this was last year's paper. So in 2016, the answer was Visarane. Okay, what about this year, 2017? Okay, so 2017, in this year, the official entry will be Newton. Okay, and this will go for 2018 Oscars. So don't get confused with the years. It depends on which Oscars they're talking about. So if they're talking about the year in which the Oscars will be held, then it will be 2018. The selection was, of course, done this year, which is in 2017. Right? So the answer will be Newton in case something of the sort comes up. Fine. Okay, who is the author of the book, Ade Adure? The answer will be Mohan Rakesh. Again, fairly simple to eliminate at least 2 of these. So between 3 and 4, at least you can choose one, and then you had at least have a 50% chance of getting it correct. So in fact, Mohan Rakesh is one of the pioneers of the Nai Kahani movement in Hindi literature. It's something that you would do well to remember. Fine. Coming to the 36th question. Which of the following is not a traditional Kathak Gharana? So among these 4, Lucknow is 1, Jaipur is 1, and Banaras is 1. So in this case, these are the ones which are traditional Gharana. So these will not be the answer. The Bikaner Gharana will be the answer. So Bikaner Gharana is not a traditional Kathak Gharana. So 3 is the answer in this case. Okay, which one of the following is the winner of the Raman Magsaysay Award for 2016? So for 2016, T.M. Krishna, the Carnatic singer, and Bezwada Wilson, the activist, were awarded the Magsaysay Award. Right, for 2017, the awards have been announced, but there have been no Indians selected this year. So you can just take a quick look at the Magsaysay Award list as well. But in terms of Indians in the list, there is no one this year. Fine. Okay, again, one more question on committees. Which committee is appointed by the Supreme Court of India to give recommendation on functioning of BCCI? If you at least remembered what you had seen earlier, then you would know that such a committee is of course wrong, because we already saw that it's for the regarding the development of Muslims. What about the remaining 3? So Singhvi, Verma, and Lodha. Again, if you have been reading the newspapers, then you would know that Lodha committee is the answer. It was in the papers quite a bit last year. Coming to the remaining two committees, the Singhvi committee was mainly deals with the Panchayat Raj. So points related to the Panchayat Raj, whereas the Verma committee was set up for the fundamental duties. Okay, so again, two things that you can sort of keep it or memorize it. So in case something on committees comes up, at least if one of these are in the answer options, you can at least eliminate them, even if you can't get the correct answer. Right? So something that you can remember. Coming to the second last question in the GK section, who was a women's singles badminton champion at Rio Olympics this year? Again, this is last year's paper. So I'm sure you would know this. So Carolina Marin was the winner, defeating PV Sindhu, right? So Carolina Marin is the answer in this case. And the last one, which one of the following is used for artificial intelligence? Again, basic COBOL, and this was, I think this is Fortran. Okay, so R should be here, Fortran. So again, these are three languages which are pretty archaic, right? So have been there for a long time. So of course, the one that ideally should be the answer should be one, which is Prolog. Right, so that was GK. Again, not that difficult, to be honest. You can guess your way out of a lot of things. For the ones which are very difficult, remember that a lot of you will not be able to answer it correctly. So ensure that you don't panic. Instead, focus on the ones that you know well and come to the remaining two sections and then do that well and try and answer all the questions there. Right, I'll also be uploading, in fact, I've already uploaded the paper on the Learning Roots website. I'll also include a description. I'll also include the link in the description in the YouTube video. So what you can do is you can click on the paper, can try out the questions along with this video. Just pause the video whenever we are solving a question, and then you can try it out either here or you can download the paper and then do it later on. Right, so let's come to the second section now, which is the Quant section. So let's tackle this. All the members of a national club participate either in the badminton or the chess competition. So many participate in chess, so many in badminton, and so many in both games. Again, cursory look tells you that this is a two-set question. So two-set questions can be solved using two methods. The first method, which a lot of you will do, is something called as the Venn diagram approach, right? So you have badminton, you have chess, 2,100 participate in chess, 1750 in badminton, 1100 in both. So this becomes 650. This becomes 1,000. So, and we know that all the members participate either in this or in this. So that means there is no member who is participating in neither. Right? So how many members does the club have? So just add this up. Again, don't add this plus this. You can simply take 1750 because you know that the sum of this is 1750. So 1750 plus 1,000 will be 2750. Right? So answer option 2 will be the answer. The second method that that you can use is something called as a double set matrix, and I'll probably tackle that in a question that will come up soon. Fine. Okay, next one. Set A is a collection of the first 10 whole numbers. What are whole numbers? Whole numbers will start from 0, right? So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the first 10 whole numbers, so that's why it will end with 9. Right? So 0 to 9 will be set A. What about set B? Set B is a collection of the first 10 natural numbers. First 10 natural numbers will start from 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Okay, first 10. So that means I will stop at 10. So how many numbers are not common? Okay, so of course 0 is not present in B and 10 is not present in A. So there are two numbers that are not common to both A and B. So the answer will be 2, right? Okay, coming to 43. Pushpa is the mother of Kamla. So Pushpa here is the mother of Kamla, and Kamla is the sister of Dilip. Dilip is the father of Jimmy. Okay, how is Pushpa related to Jimmy? Clearly, she is the grandmother. Okay, fairly simple, straightforward question, nothing to do. Okay, apart from simply drawing this diagram. Okay, what about the 44th question? In a certain group of families living together in a certain locality of Bangalore, 35% own a smart television, 25% own a hatchback, 55% own neither, 15 families, and so on, so on. Again, it's a two set question, right? You should understand that there are two sets or two things that are being talked about. So one is a smart television and the other one is a luxury hatchback. So of course it's a two set question. So again, as I told you, you can use either the Venn diagram or you can use a double set matrix. So since we did the Venn diagram approach in one of the previous questions, let's use the double set matrix approach. So in a double set matrix, you simply draw the table. So I'll write this as smart television, and correspondingly, I will write not smart television here. Similarly, I'll write hatchback and I'll write not hatchback here. Right. So let this be X. So 35% own a smart television. So I'll call this as 0.35X. Okay, so 35% own a smart television. 25% own a luxury hatchback. So this is 0.25X. So this plus this should give me this. So this will become 0.65. Right? Similarly, this plus this will give me this. So this will become 0.75X. What else is given? 55% own neither. So 55%, 0.55 comes here, own neither. Okay, neither hatchback nor a smart television. So 0.55x. Okay, so again, filling up the table. So this plus this should give me this. So this will of course be this will be 0.1x, right? So 0.1 plus this will give me 0.65. Okay, what about this? This will be 0.75 minus 0.55, which is 0.2x. And this is 0.35, this is 0.15x. And 0.15 plus 0.x gives you 0.25. So the table is correct. What else is given? 15 families. Note that this is not percentage, right? So this is an actual number that is given. So 15 families own both a smart television and luxury hatchback. So 15 families own both a smart television and a luxury hatchback. So clearly 0.15x will be equal to 15 and x will be equal to 1500 by 15, which is equal to 100. So clearly 2 is the answer in this case, right? Again, multiple approaches to solve these kind of questions. Do the one that strikes you immediately. Again, time is of the essence. So whichever method helps you solve these kind of questions quickly, just use that. So this is the other way of solving this kind of a question, right? Coming to question number 45. So Ajay says Prajita occupies the 7th position from the top, right? So there are 6 people and then there is Prajita. What does Raju say? Raju says, yes, you are correct. And Prajita also occupies the 35th position from the bottom. So if I count from the bottom, she is the 35th person, which basically means there are 34 people here, right? So there are 34 people below her, 6 people above her, and 1 person here. So in total, there will be 34 plus 6, which is 40, plus this 1 person. So 41 people in the class, right? So now Ajay and Raju study in the same class with Prajita and others. Find the number of students in the class other than Prajita, Raju, and Ajay. So I need to subtract 3 from this number. So 41 minus 3 gives me 38, which is the answer to this question, right? Again, fairly simple questions. You should not be doing any calculation mistakes in these kind of questions. Okay, so should be very easy to get a very good score in these kind of questions. Okay, another question that is very, very simple but appears intimidating. So question number 46. A cuboid of dimensions 8 cross 6 cross 5 is painted red on the pair of opposite sides and so on, and painted with blue. Right. So let's take a cuboid. Okay, pardon my drawing. So this is a cuboid. This is 8. Let this be 6, and of course let this be 5. So it is painted red on the pair of opposite sides. So 8 cross 6. This is red. And the one below it will be behind this, exactly behind this on this side. Okay, so if I draw this, right? So this front surface is red, and the surface at the back is also red. What else is given? Remaining two opposite surfaces of dimensions 8 cross 5. So 8 cross 5, 8 cross 5 will be painted. So this is 5, okay, and this is 8. So clearly the top and the bottom. So the top here is painted black, and similar is the case with the bottom. And the two surfaces of dimensions are painted with blue, basically the remaining two parts. So blue here to the right and blue here to the left. And now the block is divided into smaller cubes. So it is chopped up and it is divided into smaller cubes. Again, don't worry, it's a very simple question. in how many of the small cubes do all the three colors appear, right? Logically, if you're cutting it up, the only place where all three colors will appear is in the cornermost cube that gets cut up, right? So here, in this case, this will be blue, or this will be black rather. This will be red, and this one here will be blue. Similar is the case with this. Same is the case with this. Same is the case with this. And again, you will have four more cubes at the bottom, which is the reason why the answer is 8. Right? So only for the cubes at the extreme borders of the cuboid, you will have all the three colors coming. Right? So the answer in this case will be 8. Okay, in the question given below, statements are followed by inferential conclusions, and you need to figure out which conclusion can be derived. Right? So the question is, very soon there are chances that electricity tariff would be hiked. This proposal will bring about a sharp increase for the domestic consumers and marginal increase for the industrial consumers. Right? So again, probably not the best framed question. So it says it will bring about a sharp increase. Again, increase in what? Increase in price probably, but again, not really given in the question as such. So anyway, let's come to the options and check which of these ones can be inferred. So A says, if the proposal is accepted, then domestic output will get positively affected. So if this is accepted, then domestic output will get positively affected. Can we say this? Okay, of course, we can't say this because nowhere are we talking about output and so on, and getting positively versus negatively affected and so on. So A is gone. B says, at present, there is a disparity in electric tariff between industrial and domestic consumers. Again, how do we know this? Okay, there is no way of knowing this, right? That there is a disparity currently. So it only says that there will be a sharp increase once the tariff is hiked. But what is the current situation? I have no clue. That's why B is gone. C says after this hike, the electricity board will start making profits. Again, they will start making profits. Can't say this. What if they increase it, but still they make losses after this as well? So clearly C is also incorrect. D says domestic consumers consume more electricity than the industrial consumers, assuming that at the beginning, tariffs of both sets is the same. Okay, so the assumption is very important. So assuming that both of them are the same, beginning tariffs are the same, domestic consumers will consume more electricity. Okay, how can we conclude this? Because there will be a sharp increase for the consumers. So clearly D has to be the answer. Okay, among these four, clearly D is the best answer option, and that's why D is the answer for this question, right? Okay, coming to 48, the letters P, Q, R, S, T each stands for one of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, but not necessarily in that order. So P is odd, so P can either be 1, 3, or 5. Q is neither 4 nor 5, that means it can be 1, 2, or 3. R is given to be 1, which means P cannot be 1, Q cannot be 1. S is given to be either 4 or 5. And T is, and for T it is mentioned that it is neither 2, 3, nor 4. That means either it is 1 or it is 5. Right? So R is 1, S is 4 or 5, and T is 1 or 5. But we already know that R is 1. So T can't be 1. So T has to be 5. I can cancel out 5 from here, which means S has to be 4. I can cancel out 5 from here, which means P has to be 3. Since P is 3, Q has to be 2. Right? So what is the correct order of the digits? It will be 3, 2, 1, 4, and 5. Right? Which is answer option 3. Okay, again, systematically, if you proceed like this, you should be able to arrive at the answer in no time. Fine. Coming to question number 49. Okay, there are 5 friends, F1, F2, F3, F4, and F5. F1 and F4 are unmarried ladies and do not take part in any game. None of the ladies play chess or tennis. Right? So chess or tennis is not played by any of the ladies. There is a married couple in which F5 is the husband. Out of the 5 friends, one is a tennis player and one is a chess player. F2 is a brother of F3 and is neither a chess nor a badminton player. Right? It's not tennis, it's badminton player. So who is the chess player in this? So let's quickly make a table with the parameters. So F1, F2, F3, F4, F5. So the first parameter that I'll put up is probably the gender. The next parameter that I will put up is whether they play a sport or not. And the third parameter is married or not. Right? So I know that F1 and F4 are not married. So I will put no here. I'll put no here. And do not take part in any game. So this is gone. This is gone. None of the ladies play chess or tennis. Again, this is gone. There is a married couple in which F5 is the husband. So clearly F5 has to be male. And of course, F4 is female. F1 is female. Right? And out of the 5 friends, one is a tennis player and one is a chess player. F2 is a brother of F3. So F2 is a brother, which means F2 has to be male. And since these 2 females are unmarried, F3 has to be the female counterpart of F5. Right? So F3 and F5 will form a couple. Okay, I hope everyone gets this. Because F1 and F4 can't be part of the married couple. So the only person who remains is F3. Right? So F3 and F5 will be the couple. What else is mentioned? F2 is neither a chess nor a badminton player. So F2 is neither a chess nor a badminton. So F2 has to be the tennis player. Okay, what else is given? None of the ladies play chess or tennis. So she will play badminton. And the person who's remaining is chess. So the chess player is F5. Right? Again, systematically done. So if you do it systematically like this, it should not take a lot of time. Right? In these kind of questions, what you can do is you can skip this question for the time being, do all the remaining easier questions, and then come back to this question at the end, okay, in case you feel that it's going to take a lot of your time. Coming to question number 50, okay, R1. So let's write this down as per the conditions. Dr. Bappa has 5 gold rings, each having a different weight. R1 is weighing twice as much as R2. R2 is weighing 4.5, so I'll write this as 9/2 times R3. R3 is weighing half of R4, and R4 is weighing half of R5. Right? So let's all put it back in this, put it back in terms of R1. So R1 is 2 times R2. If I plug in R2 here, this becomes R1 is equal to 9 times R3. If I put R3 as half R4, it becomes R1 is equal to 9/2 R4 or 4.5 R4. And if I put R4 as, again, as 2 here, so it will be 4.5 again by 2. So 2.25 R4, R5 rather. Right? So these are my values. Everything is in terms of R1. So which of the following represents the descending order? So which should be the highest value? Clearly R1 is more than the others. So R1 is 2 times R2, 9 times R3, 4.5 times, 2.25 times. So clearly R1 is the ring with the highest weight. What about the next one? Okay, the next one should be R2. Why should it be R2? Because R1 is only 2 times R2, whereas R1 is 9 times R3. So clearly R3 has to be a smaller value in comparison. Okay, same is the case with the others as well. So R2, since the coefficient is small, in this case R2 will have the higher value, right? So R1, then R2, then the next higher value is R5, then comes R4, and at the end comes R3, right? So 1, 2, 5, 4, 3. 1, 2, 5, 4, 3, which is answer option 3 will be the answer, right? Again, systematic in approach. If you tackle this systematically, you should be able to answer these questions quickly. Fine. What about this? Complete the series 7, 10, 19, 46, 127. Again, if you wish, you can pause the video right now and then try it out. In case you're seeing this, we can do it this way. So difference is 3, difference is 9, difference is 27, difference is 81. So clearly, they're all powers of 3. So this is 3 raised to 1, 3 raised to 2, 3 raised to 3, 3 raised to 4. And this will, of course, be 81 into 3, right? So 243. So 127 plus 243 will give me 370, which is the answer, right? So 370 is the answer for this. Okay, what about this one? Again, if you're good in numbers, it should strike you immediately as to what should be the pattern in this case. So this is 1 cube plus 1, 2 cube plus 2, 3 cube plus 3, and so on. Right? So 1 cube plus 1 is 2, 2 cube is 8, 8 plus 2 is 10, 3 cube is 27, 27 plus 3 is 30. So the missing value should be 4 cube plus 4, which is 64 plus 4, which is 68. Okay, coming to the next one. Complete the series ADEIJK. Okay, again, fairly simple. If you wish If you have time, you can write it down and then do it systematically, or else you can simply count it mentally. So let's try this. First A is written, and then you strike off BC, and then you take 2, then you strike off 3, and then you take 3, then you strike off 4, LMNO is gone, so you should take 4. So PQRS is the answer, right? So strike 2, take the next 2, strike off 3, take the next 3, strike off 4, take the next 4. Okay, again, very simple. 2 is the answer for this. Okay, this appears to be some printing mistake here. So not sure of what this is. The answer, official answer that is given is 50. So probably this was, I don't know, 3 square plus 5 square plus 4 square maybe. But again, very simple if this was the case. So anyway, something wrong with this question. So the official answer that is given is 50. Okay, coming to this, how many rectangles are there in the following figure? Again, don't start counting. Okay, let's follow a systematic approach. So in this case, if you want a rectangle, you need 2 lines which are vertical, and you need 2 lines which are horizontal, right? So this basically translates into a problem on permutations and combinations, or rather on combinations. So how many ways can you pick lines, right? So for making a rectangle, I need to pick out of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I have 7 vertical lines, and I need 2 lines to form the vertical lines for the rectangle. So I can pick those 2 lines in 7C2 ways. Similarly, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 horizontal lines, and I need to pick any 2 of these, and this will form the rectangle, right? So I can pick that in 6C2 ways. Of course, I'm doing both at the same time. So this will be 7C2 into 6C2. So if I solve for this, so 15 into 21, right? 15 into 21 will be, again, solve this, 300 plus 15, which is 315. Right, so 315 will be the answer for this. Okay, fine. What is the average of the first 7 prime numbers? First 7 prime numbers, 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17. Okay, the average of these 7 prime numbers. Okay, this is nothing but 58 by 7. Okay, 58 by 7 comes out to 7 8 are 56, 27, almost 8.3, something which is just lower than 8.3. So 8.28 is the answer for this question. Right, again, fairly simple. Coming to 57. So Leica notices a right angle triangle. So right angle triangle, this is 90 degrees. And she observes that one acute angle is half the size of the other one. So one acute is half the size. So this is x by 2. Again, if you are again good with numbers, you should simply recognize that this is a 30, 60, 90 triangle. In case you didn't know this, what you can do is you can simply add up the angles to equal 180. Right? So x plus x by 2 plus 90 will be equal to 180, and solve for x. So you should get x as 60 and you should get x by 2 as 30. Right? So the smallest angle would be 30 degrees. Again, fairly, very, very simple questions. Fine. Question number 58. Anand sells a laptop on discount of 8% on the market price and still makes a profit of 25%. Right? So Anand sells a laptop on discount of 8% on the market price and still makes a profit of 25%. So how much is the laptop costing? The market price is 40,000. So market price is 40,000, sells a laptop on discount. So what is the discounted price? Discounted price will simply be 0.92 of 40,000. Right? So 92% of 40,000, which works out to 36,800. So 36,800 is the selling price, but he still makes a profit of 25% on this, right? So cost price, let this be x. So 36,800 minus x by x will be nothing but equal to 25 by 100. Okay, solving for this, 36,800 by x minus 1 is 25 by 100. Okay, 25 by 100 plus 1, okay, which is again 125 by 100, which is 5 by 4. And this equal to 3600 by x. Okay, again, just simply solve for this. Okay, 5 7s are 35, 1 8, 5 3s are 15, 3 0, 30. So x will be equal to 7360 into 4, which is nothing but 29440. Right, so 3 is the answer. Okay, again, I'm going a little quickly in these questions. Okay, it's fairly simple to solve all these kind of questions. In case you have any doubts on any question, do mention it in the comments and I'll give a detailed explanation there, right? Coming to 59, average marks scored by Amit, Bimal, and Candy is 84. But this is the average mark. So A plus B plus C divided by 3 is 84. Or A plus B plus C will be equal to 84 into 3, which is equal to 252. What about the next case? The marks of Dorothy are added and the average becomes 80. So 80 into 4 will be 320 in this case. So what is Dorothy's mark? If I simply subtract, it becomes 320 minus 252, which is 68. What happens here next? Elora's score is 3 more than Dorothy. So this becomes 71. And Elora's mark replaces Amit's mark. So then B plus C plus D plus E, the average is 79. So 79 into 4, which is 316 will be the total. So A plus B plus C plus D is 320. B plus C plus D plus E is 316. Simply by subtracting these two, I will cancel off the terms. What remains is A minus E. And what remains here is 4. So A is equal to 4 plus E. So if I add 4 to this, it gives me 75, which is answer option 2. Right? The score of Amit will be 75. Fine. Question number 60. ABC is an isosceles triangle with AB is equal to AC. So if you have an isosceles triangle, this is A, this is B, this is C, AB equal to AC. The vertex angle A measures 8 times the measure of a base angle. Right? So this, of course, in an isosceles triangle, these two angles will be equal. So let this be X, let this be X. And the vertex angle A measures 8X. Right? It measures 8 times the base. It's also given that AD is the angle bisector of vertex angle A. Okay, so anyway, before proceeding to that, we know that this is 8x, this is x, and this is x. So total of the angles is 10x in this triangle. And we know that the sum of the angles will be 180. So x is equal to 18 degrees. Right, so this is 18, this is 18, and this is 8 into 18. Let's proceed with the question. AD is the angle bisector. So if I draw AD, this is the angle bisector, and I want to find out what is BAD. So since it's the angle bisector, this will be 4x. So 4x will be equal to 72. Okay, 4 into x will be equal to 18 into 4, which is 72, which will be the answer in this case. Coming to 61, Atmaram distributed his property worth 78 lakhs among his 3 sons, R, S, and K. Right, so R is equal to 3/4 of S. S is equal to 2/3 of K. So what is the difference between S and K? So anyway, let's again do the same thing. Let's put it in terms of one parameter. So we know that R is 3/4 of S. We know that S is 2/3 of K. And we know that the properties were this much. So R plus S plus K will be equal to 78. Again, let me take only 78. Okay, forget about the remaining part. Not really that relevant. So R becomes 3/4 of S. Let me keep S as it is. And K, let me put it as 3s/2. Right, so taking it on the other side, 3s/2 will be equal to 78. Okay, just solving for this. So this is 3s plus 4s plus 2 plus 6s will be 78. So this becomes 13s/4 is 78. 13/6 are 78. So S is equal to 24 lakh. Right, so S will be equal to 24 lakh. How much will K be equal to? 3 into 24/2, which becomes 36. So S is 24, K is 36. What's the difference between the amount received? It will be 12 lakhs, right? So 12 lakhs is the amount, difference in the amounts received. Coming to question number 62, X is a number such that 65% of X is more than its 36% by 2900. So 65% of X, right? So 65% of X is more than 36% of X by 2900. Okay, solving for this, this gives me 29x by 100 is equal to 2900. So x will be equal to, this goes away, this is 100 into 100, which is 10,000. So what is 122% of the number? 122% of the number will be 122 by 100 into 10,000, which is equal to 122,000. So answer option 4 will be the answer in this case. Right, moving on to the next one. The bar diagram given below shows the realization from exports of product AB in dollars during different years from 1 to 7. What's the ratio of the absolute difference in the years 3 and 7 and 2 and 4? Right, what is the ratio of the difference? So in 3 and 7, 3 is 30, 7 is 90. So what's the difference in 3 and 7? It will be 60. What about 2 and 6? 6 is 70. 2 is 50. So 70 minus 50 is 20. So the ratio is 60 is to 20. Okay, 60 is to 20, or it will be 3 is to 1. 3 is to 1. Right? So answer option 3 will be the answer in this case. What about 64? Mr. Krishna acquires 4 companies. When the results of these companies were placed before him, he found a few interesting things, and all the expenses and profits are given. So let's form the table. So let this be KT. Then we have Kunti, we have Sundry, and we have Rukmani, right? And we have been given the sales or the revenue. Okay, so the sales and the revenue basically both mean the same thing. Sales here and expenses and profits, right? So profits are defined as sales minus expenditure. So whatever is the sale minus the expenses will of course be equal to the profit. Okay, that's pretty logical. So let's look at the data that is given. While the total expenses of Sundry were 5 times its profit. So total expenses of Sundry were 5 times its profits. So if the profit of Sundry is X, then the total expenses will be 5X, right? So if this is 5X and this is X, logically the sales has to be 6X, because 6X minus 5X will then be equal to X, right? What about next one? Sales of Rukmani were 3 times its profits. So if I call the profits of Rukmani Y, then the sales of Rukmani would have been 3Y, right? The next statement says, while the profits of Sundry and Rukmani are the same. So the profits are the same of these two. So I can replace Y by X, right? So this becomes 3X then. So if this is 3X and this is X, then this should be 2X, right? The one thing that you should understand here is to not solve the rest of the question. Why is that the case? Because the question is only asking me about the ratio of the expenses of Sundry and Rukmani, which you already know, right? So if you're doing the remaining part, then you are wasting a lot of time. So ensure that you look at the question before you start doing the entire thing. So the ratio of expenses of Sundry and Rukmani will be in the ratio 5X is to 2X, which is 5 is to 2. Okay, so fairly simple question. The only trap in this case is the time waster part here. Coming to question number 65. So refer to the following bar diagram, which shows a plan outlay. So total revised estimates were less than budgeted estimates of 2015-16 for transportation and communication taken together by approximately. So approximately, so I can approximate the numbers. So anyway, let me add up these numbers. So this is 28350. Okay, I'm only looking at 2015-16. So this graph is out of the picture because it is 16-17. Right? So this is 28350. What about this one? This will become 24150. So let me take 28 and 24. So total revised estimates will be 24. Total budgeted estimates will be 28. So they were approximately lower by how much? Right? So 4 by 24 into 100 or 1 by 6 into 100. So approximately some 16% odd. So 15% is the answer in this case. Right? Okay, in these questions, you can easily approximate and then get the answer. Right? So if you're not very good at approximation, what you can do is to leave this question for the time being, solve all the remaining questions, and then come back to this when you have time. So don't waste too much of time if you're not very comfortable doing, if you're not comfortable doing calculations. Fine. Next one. For how many years is the value of exports in that particular year higher than the average value of the exports from 2000 to 2004? So what is the average value of the exports? Let's find that out first. So it will be 6 plus 30 plus 36 plus 28 plus 11, okay, divided by 5. Right, so this is 36 plus 36, which is 72. 72 plus 28 is 100. 111. So 111 by 5. 5 2s are 10. Again, 22 point something. Right, so 22 point something. Again, no need for calculating the exact value. So approximately 22 is the average of the exports. So let's check. Is the export in this case greater than the average? No. In this case, yes. In this case, yes. In this case, yes. In this case, no. Right, so there are 3 years in which the value of the exports is higher than the average value. That's why the answer in this case is 3. Right. 67. What is the compound annual growth rate of sales revenue of brand Boss from 2014 to 2016? So we are looking at these two parameters, right? Sales revenue from 2014 to 2016. So what will be the CAGR? It will simply be 2420 divided by 2000 over how many years? Over 2 years. So I'll take the square root of that many years, right? So if it had been over 3 years, I would have done 1 by 3 in this case. So by this much raised to 1 by 2 minus 1. Right, so just calculate this. So this becomes 121 by 100 raised to half minus 1. So 121 square root is 11. 10 square root, 100 square root is 10. So this becomes 1.1 minus 1 or 0.1. Okay, 0.1 is nothing but 10%. Right, so CAGR can be calculated as final value upon initial value divided by 1 upon number of years minus 1. Right, so that will be the CAGR or the compound annual growth rate of sales. Okay, what about this case? Company had sold a total of 10,000 ball pens and during the period from 2015 to 31st December 2015. So how many will they sell by April, by June? So these two are what we will consider. So 10,000 is the initial part, and in Jan to March it increases by 4%. In April to June it increases by 3%. Right? So do this calculation, you can arrive at the answer. In case you're short of time, you will easily realize that 4 into 3, which will be 12, and the decimal places will go off. So the number that ends with answer option that ends with 2 should be the answer. So 10712 is the answer in this case. Question number 69. Approximate ratio of interest and depreciation expenses for the years combined. So add this up, and simply take the ratio. Right, so let's again do it approximately. 62 plus 40 is approximately 100. 62 plus 38 is approximately 100. So this becomes 200. 13 plus 9 is 22. This is 26. So this is approximately 48. Let me take it as 50. Doesn't matter. 200 by 50 will be approximately 4:1. Right, so 4:1 is the answer in this case. Again, the ratios are pretty far apart, so should not be a problem approximating it. Fine. What about this case? So Karmasthali is an NGO which spends 13.8 crores, and the expenditure breakup of these 13.8 crores is given here. So I need to calculate how much percentage points is this greater than this, right? So how much is this? This is 2.4 plus 1.6, which is 4. This is 1.2 plus 0.6, which is 1.8. So 4 minus 1.8 by 1.8, which is 2.2 by 1.8. Okay, or 22 by 18 or 11 by 9. Right, 1 by 9 is approximately 11%. So 11 into 11 gives me 121. So 122 is the answer. Right, again, if you know these shortcuts, then again you can do it very quickly. But even if you don't know it, just calculate 11 by 9. Okay, that should not give you that should not be a problem. Okay, it should not take a lot of time. So 122.22 will be the answer in this case. Okay, what about this? Coming to verbal now, last 30 questions. Complete the analogy. Enthusiasm is to enthuse. Okay, you are enthusing someone. Excitement will be to excite someone. Right, the verb forms of the words. So excite will be the answer in this case. What about this one? Replacing the phrase in bold with the correct option given below. So I'm looking up my keys. You don't look up your keys. You don't look into your keys, you look into some matters which may need your attention. You will look for your keys. Okay, so look for will be the answer. Looking after basically means you're looking after someone. So if you're looking after your, let's say, your grandparents or your parents, so then you look after them. But you won't look after your keys, you look for your keys. So 2 is the answer in this case. 73. A country that constitutionally ensures equal rights for all citizens is called a democracy. Right? In a democracy, all citizens have equal rights. So an autocracy is where you have basically one a despotic ruler, a dictatorship, and so on. Right? So all of these are talking about basically a single rule and so on. Replace a phrase in bold with the correct option given below. There are very few people in the world. Again, you can't use that for people. You have to use who or whom. And in this case, who is the correct answer because people will not like ice cream. Right? So the subject of the action, that's why we will use who and not whom. Fill in the blank and complete the idiom. So how do you solve the puzzle? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. Okay, again, sitters, if you have a basic command over English, these questions should be very easy for you to tackle. What is the antonym of precarious? So if the object is precariously placed, it means it is placed in a very dangerous place or in a very dangerous situation. So the antonym or the opposite will be it's placed securely. Okay, completing the analogy, chase is to pursue, which basically means that you are having synonyms. So bewilder, the synonym in the options, which is same as bewilder, will be perplex. Right? So to be perplexed is to be bewildered. Finding the odd one out, editor, columnist, reporter, playwright, okay, has to be playwright because all of the remaining 3 pertain to people working in a newspaper. Right? A playwright will not be working in a newspaper, so may not always be the case, but these 3 always will be. So playwright is the answer in this case. Okay, what about this one? Tsunami, earthquake, flood, and famine. So in this case, tsunami, earthquake, flood, all natural occurrences. So clearly, famine has to be the answer. Okay, find the odd one out. Friendly, pompous, affable, pleasant. Friendly, affable, pleasant, all basically mean the same thing. That is, you're friendly. So pompous, which basically means a little bit of being a show off or being a little bit on the arrogant side. So that will be the answer in this case. Right? Again, fairly simple questions. So these are the questions you should not again miss out on. Okay, so you will easily be able to solve at least 85 to 90% of the questions in no time in this section. Substitute the phrase in bold with a word given below. So a person who knows and speaks several languages fluently will be a polyglot. Right? Poly, of course, stands for many. It's the root word for many. Glot, in this case, we're talking about languages. So polyglot will be the answer. Right? A polymath is a person who's knowledgeable about various things. Right? Need not always be languages. So about various facts, the person who's knowledgeable will be called as a polymath. Whereas a polyglot is basically talking about languages per se. Okay, what about this one? No sooner did. So this is gone, this is gone. No sooner did the bell ring. Okay, very commonly used. No sooner than, it's an idiom. If you didn't know this construction, just Google a few words searching for no sooner and than. Okay, so no sooner did the bell ring. Okay, it's not rang. No sooner did the bell ring than the students ran out of the classes. So 1 is the answer in this case. Okay, what about 83? Usually no one gives a job to someone who runs away from the law. Okay, what do you call a person who runs away from the law? You call him or her a fugitive. Right? A fugitive is a person who runs away from the law. So delinquent, juvenile, basically almost are on the same lines. Exile, delinquent is basically a juvenile offender. Juvenile, of course, is for someone who is underage. Exile, yeah, I think everyone knows the meaning of this. Fugitive will be someone who runs away from the law. Okay, question number 84. Complete the idiom. He may look unreliable, but let's give him a job. You cannot judge a book by its cover. Okay, fairly simple. 4 will be the answer for this. Okay, what about the 85th one? So dirty is to filthy. Again, they are synonyms. So silly will be frivolous. Okay, not mundane, not dull. Mundane and dull basically mean the same thing. Okay, and of course not infuriating. So frivolous. So silly arguments, frivolous arguments, both mean the same thing. 86. He has changed a lot. He is a far cry. Okay, again, this is the idiom that is commonly used. Far cry from what he was. Question number 87. He is waiting for you since 10 o'clock. So if he is waiting since 10 o'clock, then I will not use the present tense in this case, because of which one is incorrect. Right? So he is not waiting for you since 10 o'clock. Either you say he has been waiting for you, in which case you will use the progressive tense, or you will say he was waiting. So depends on the way in which you want to construct the sentence. But if you're simply using is, then clearly this is incorrect. Right? So one in this case will be the correct answer option. Okay, what about this one? Me and my sister went to the new mall for shopping. You won't say me and my sister, you will say my sister and I. Okay, I went to the new mall for shopping, right? So you won't say me went to the new mall for shopping. So can't use me, have to use I. So my sister and I went to the new mall for shopping. So clearly the first part is again incorrect. Okay, A will be incorrect. Okay, what about this one? Industrialization has severely affected the environment and triggered global warming. Has severely affected, okay, with a A and not with a E. So industrialization has severely affected the environment and triggered global warming. So one should be the answer for this. Next one, he was arrested for marrying multiple times, and so he was charged with bigamy, polygamy, again gamy, talking about marriage. Okay, but what are these? Bi is of course two, poly is many. We already seen this with polymath and polyglot and so on. Endo basically refers to marriage only within a particular tribe or caste and so on. And mono is single, one. So in this case, multiple times clearly talks about polygamy, right? So two should be the answer in this case. They had successfully hidden the news of their marriage from everyone. With the date approaching, it was time to let the cat out of the bag. Okay, again, a very common idiom. You let the cat out of the bag means to spill the secret, right? You tell everyone the secret. So it was finally time to tell the news of the marriage. So it was time to let the cat out of the bag. 92nd, a research student is expected to not cite, okay, not this is not a word at all. So the research student is expected to cite, okay, CITE, because of which one becomes the answer, right? So cite has to do with seeing something, cite is a place. Okay, so if you are citing some sources, it has to be CITE. Fine. What is the antonym of trivial? Trivial is something that is not so important. So if you want to talk about the antonym of trivial, it has to be something which is important. So it is something which is pertinent. Right? So pertinent is the antonym of trivial. 94. A doctor who takes care of newborn infants is called. Okay, don't jump the gun and mark pediatrician as the answer. Look at the options as well, because there is a neonatologist present, which is the answer in this case, right? So a pediatrician looks after children on a very generic level, but if you want to specifically talk about newborn infants, then you go to a neonatologist, right? So 3 will be the answer in this case. 95th, completing the analogy, encourage is to discourage, clearly antonyms. So pacify will be to, you're pacifying someone means you are placating someone. So you are doing the opposite, which means you are provoking someone. So provoke will be the answer for question number 95. What about 96? Yeah, so this is RC. So 96 to 100 will be RC. So as I said, I'll be uploading, or I'll re-upload the paper on the Learning Roots website. I'll be sharing the link in the description. So in case you've not read the RC, please do so before looking at the answer options. So take a look, read the RC, and then come back to the video and then look at the solutions. Right? So in case you have read it, let's tackle the questions. So which of the following leads to higher risk of injury? So poor nutrition leads to higher risk of injury. The very first sentence of the passage clearly tells you that poor nutrition is the reason for higher level of or higher risk of injury. 97. Which factor most influences the need for a change in diet? The answer for this will be the time required for recovery, right? Because it clearly says that if the recovery is expected to happen very quickly, then you don't need to change your diet. But if it is more than a week, then you need to think about changing your diet. So that's why 3 is the answer in this case. Okay, what about 98? So why is protein intake important in the recovery process? So protein repairs damaged tissues, mentioned. Protein helps in building strength, mentioned. Protein boosts immunity, mentioned in the part about stress and emotions and so on. So the answer is all of the above, right? Even if you can get 2, even if you don't know where this is, doesn't matter. If you get 2, then you know that it has to be all of the above. Okay, second last question. Which of the following can be the reasons for weight gain? So sticking to typical training diet, anxiety, physical stress. Again, clearly, anxiety is the one which talks about weight gain, right? So it talks about leading to cramming food and so on. So in this case, 2 has to be the answer. And the last one, why, according to the author, is it crucial for athletes to maintain their nutrition while traveling? So it's crucial for athletes to maintain their nutrition while traveling because what does it do? Does it reduce stress? Not really. It ensures faster recovery? Not really. It reduces the risk of injury? Not really. It ensures that their caloric needs are met. Right? So 1 has to be the answer in this case. So again, present in the last paragraph of the passage. Right? So that completes the 100 questions. Again, as I said, I've gone a little fast, but that's because the questions are fairly straightforward, fairly simple. In case you have any doubts or any queries, feel free to call us or contact us on the forums that I mentioned here. So we do have a Facebook group. Again, it says Cracking Cat, but we cater to all exams there. And you can also mail us at contact@learningroots.in in case you wish to know any more details about the exam. And I hope this video has been useful. We'll be sharing a lot more content on our YouTube channel regarding TISS. So do ensure that you subscribe to our channel for further updates.